This is Mile High.
Do I want to tell the story or do I want to show the message?
You've got a lot of work to do between Mile High.
The time has come where we can know
we have a responsibility, an ethical and moral responsibility.
We have to do it better in order to move people along.
Up, down, inside out.
If you get your mind right,
it is not. It is a receiver of thought. Because love is my first technique.
It's now time for the show.
Welcome to the Mile High podcast. This is your host, Dr. Daniel Knowles. Thank you for joining us from wherever you are in the world. I'm coming to you from an altitude of 5,280 feet, Mile High territory, and we are looking forward to seeing you in Mile High territory, August 20th to 23rd, 2020. Make sure you dial that into your calendar and reserve your seats at milehighchiroregistration.com. Today, I am really thrilled to interview someone who I feel is really helping all kinds of health professionals, especially chiropractors, with social media, with books, with so many things. It's Billy Sticker of Chiro Candy. I've known him for a number of years, and he's really helping people in their practices reach more spines, lives, and change their minds in terms of health and well-being and how they live their life. And I know he truly does this because he loves chiropractic and loves people getting chiropractic care. So thank you for joining us on the Mile High podcast, Billy.
Thanks for having me. I love sharing this content, all these strategies to help people really go out there and make a bigger impact in their community. I don't think there's ever been a better time to be in practice because of the tools and stuff we have available to us. I just want to see people use them correctly to get the most benefit. So thanks for having me on.
That's a really good point. And I'll tell you, I've said to people many a time, BJ Palmer saw the technology of the time when he was around as radio, and he used that as much as he could to promote the school and to promote chiropractic. I saw things about him being on the radio at 4 a.m., and just in the middle of the night to do things and doing lectures. That was the resource and technology at the time. And he was very business-minded, as we all know. And people need to see social media as something that's a resource they can use to bring people to their message and help more people receive chiropractic care. So that being said, what are some of the mistakes you see chiropractors and other healthcare providers make using social media?
One is focusing too much on just content being on their page, whether that's, Instagram, or Facebook. So first thing, anytime we mention Instagram, or Facebook, Facebook owns Instagram. So when it comes to running ads and things, really whatever you do on one, it's very similar, to just do it on the other. So that's kind of, if we say Facebook, it's just the general Facebook, Instagram kind of combo. But some people really focus on, I've got to have a lot of content on my page. Do you need content? Yes. The problem is nobody's coming to your Facebook page. They're just not. The few people that do, they just want to see that there's some activities, or they may just be trying to find your phone number, if they see a post somewhere else. So that would be one thing, is just, I'm not saying you don't need to do that. You still need to have some content on there. That's not going to get you patients. And you need to understand, posting on, just making posts isn't going to do it. You've got to get out the credit card and actually put some money behind that content and get it out to the specific audiences. And we can talk more about that in a minute. But that would be one thing. And another thing would be just doing some type of a new patient offer, blanketing out to the community. Whenever I spoke up in Denver at your event here recently in December, one of the comments I made was, even if you've been in practice in your community for 15 or 20 years, there are still plenty of people that don't know you. And I'm sure that those listening to this or, watching this can verify that you still have people come in that would say, I didn't even know you were here. but you've been there for years. So you can't just assume all these people know who I am. I can throw out a couple of ads and I'm going to get great results. So that would be something else. As a matter of fact, Brady, who works with us, he and his wife were just in New York for the weekend, and he was in one of the parks up there, and he made a video, and I don't know if it's being released on our Cairo Candy page yet. I think he had it scheduled to release sometime later this week. But basically what he covers in this video is very good content. He talked about how where he was is this park where people do screenings, right? They do different events and they have booths set up and all this stuff. And he said too many people use Facebook as just like this screening. He said, imagine this. Imagine if you were here doing a booth and you just started screaming whatever your new patient special was. There's been no rapport built with anybody. They don't know who you are. It's just some kind of offer you're throwing out there. But one of the benefits, I know no one loves doing screenings, but I think we all know one of the benefits is, kind of the elbow to elbow talking to people. And you start asking questions, you start building some rapport. They start to feel like, man, these guys are pretty cool. They start to resonate with you. There's some rapport built, and then there is an offer made. And so it's that same mindset when it comes, to Facebook. I know a lot of agencies. Now, I'm not saying don't do new patient offers. I mean, we still do that. But that is just a small piece of what your social media content should be. I don't know of a profession that is passionate about their message is chiropractic. I mean, maybe ministry, right? People are just, this chiropractors live it, they breathe it, they drink the Kool-Aid, right? Which is good Kool-Aid. But you've got a message, and there are people in your community, they want what it is you have. They're driving past your office right now. They don't want to be taking medication. They want this wellness lifestyle. They want it for their family. They don't know that that's called chiropractic. But we have the tools now to get that message in, short pieces of content, and you start getting that message out to your community and finding those people who resonate with it and building this audience of your ideal patient. Those are the ones that you need to focus on. Those are the ones that you need to nourish, not the people who, they're just fine taking their medication. They just don't have that same mindset. You want to find the ones that that resonate with you. And we can do that now.
I agree. And here's the thing, and you were at my program that we did in Denver area a few months ago, and I hit this topic, which is shiny object syndrome, okay? And I feel like chiropractors, and likely all healthcare providers, and probably many business owners, but especially chiropractors, tend to be very susceptible to shiny object syndrome. And I see them often use social media in that way. How do we use social media not in that way?
I think it's having a plan and there's two main things that I would love to see everybody do. One is commit to at least one video a week. Think about this. And this is something else I talked about at your event. If you can imagine back 20 or 30 years ago, some guys sitting around thinking, some advertising executives, talking about billboards and newspapers and television and radio. Man, what if we can create some kind of device where we could people carried it with them, and we could have our message in their pocket. Every time they were waiting in line or, sitting at the table or going to the restroom, our message is just right there, but they could carry it in their pocket, So that's what we have, right? People are still watching TV, but even with Netflix and YouTube and, things like this, people are watching videos on their phone all the time. So you can create your own TV channel, right? Your own news show, whatever it may be, your own health and wellness platform. You've got it to deliver your message. what I like to say, do, as a matter of fact, I think it was either last week or week before last on the Chiro Candy podcast, I had a video, not a video, it was an audio, but it was 10 different tips on recording videos. And I've got to say, it was one of the most value-packed episodes we've done in a while. But one of the tips in there is get the note section on your phone. I actually use an app called Workflowy, but you can even just use the regular note section. And anytime you have an idea for a piece of content, like have a section where you video ideas and just write it down. I've got one for Chiro Candy because we're committed to doing more and more content, videos and podcast ideas. Right now I have 25 different ideas. So even if my brain shuts off and I'm no longer creative, for the next 6 months, I've got content that I can produce just because I already have the ideas done. And that's really all you need. Because most people are like, okay, I'll do videos. What do I do a video about? Right? When you have these ideas, just something to get started, that helps. And so what do you do videos about? Let's say questions. This is an easy one. The top 5 questions new patients ask or new practice members ask. Then you could do the top 5 questions you wish a practice member would ask, right? Things like that. And seriously, if you have somebody ask a question during the day, there's a good chance they're not the only ones thinking it. I think sometimes we take for granted what we know and we think everybody knows it. They don't. Think about how much time you have to educate your patients. It's not enough. We can do that with social media. We can, let's say that typically your education starts, whether you do like a dinners with the doc, some kind of workshop, or it starts on your day 1, day 2, whatever, depending on how you practice. That's when normally your patient education starts. Well, what if you could start it 2 weeks before they ever came in? 2 months before they ever came in. So by the time they come in and they start your process, they're like, oh, I saw some of your videos where you talked about that. They already know it. So that it's stuff like that. You can take a workshop, break it down into 2 or 3 minute sections, pull a couple of nuggets out, and then that's some video content that you can get out there. So that's part of it. Second part is in the back end of Facebook, properly building out the audiences. Who is it that you really want to target? And that's something that a lot of people just, even if they're doing videos, sometimes they're not setting up the audiences properly in the back end, which is what you want to do, because you can tell Facebook, hey, if somebody watches 25% or 50% of this video, put them in another audience. And that's your goal. Your goal, I think this should be everybody's goal, is to build an audience of people in your community that are watching your content. Now, they may not stop and watch every one of them, but if they watch 1 or 2, we can make sure they at least see your next one in their newsfeed, and then the next one, and the next one. So imagine if you had this is just one of the first guys that we did this process with a couple of years ago. In 3 months, his audience size that had watched 50% or more of his videos was 9,000 people. How many of those 9,000 people do you need to transform your practice?
Right.
Not many. So that would be one, coming up with a video content strategy, a schedule, and just be consistent with it. And then make sure you have the audiences set up properly, because now it is a lot less expensive to run ads to 9,000 people or 5,000 people or 10,000 people than it is to 150,000 people. And think about it like this: Facebook and Instagram and even things on YouTube, we have the ability to dig a pond and tell Facebook what fish to put in each pond. And then we get to come up with the bait that we're going to use to go fishing in the different ponds. So that would be step 2. So 1 is video content. 2 is making sure the audiences are set up properly, and then putting those 2 things together.
So vital. And what you said about your audience and people that, follow you is so, it's basically the difference between just going out and saying, hey, can we get married?
Right. Absolutely.
Or hey, let's go for a cup of coffee and
Right.
get to know each other. And so often chiropractors start with, hey, let's get married, and we're going to do, something that's going to be a year of care or something, like in their post, right?
Yeah.
Let alone in their initial visit or whatever. And versus helping people understand that, and doctor means educator, right? And so it means teacher, that you have a message to share and using this as a platform for that so people can get to know you better. So what are some keys to success in social media?
I think it's that. I just can't stress enough how important doing that type of content is. So if you're just consistent with it, now I will say this, I know a lot of people are hesitant about it. As a matter of fact, I was speaking with someone just, let's see, today's Tuesday, it was in the last week. So it was Thursday or Friday. He used to be a client and then left. The grass is greener over here. Somebody else promised him some stuff. So he worked with another company for a while, and then he came back and he's like, yeah, okay, it just wasn't working out. You guys were getting us better results, but he never did videos. And then it came out, really the reason he left is the other people said he didn't have to do videos. And so he was going to try something else. Well, talking with him, he didn't want to do videos. That was the thing. And he's like, he goes, I know it's me. I know it's mental, but I grew up in this area. I went to high school here. And he's picturing, he goes, one, the other healthcare professionals that are going to watch the videos.
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid they're going to judge me. Two is friends and things that I went to school with. And so, and I get it. I actually play guitar. And in church, if I'm on stage, really the only time I get nervous is when I know there are other guitar players watching, criticizing, why did he play that scale? Or why did he do this? That kind of thing. So I do understand. You don't want to be judged by your peers. But forget that. Act like you're doing a video for a referral. Your favorite patient has sent in a neighbor, a cousin, whatever, coworker, but they can't make it in yet. And they have a question about cervical issues and headaches, whatever you're doing that content on today. And so when you go to make that video, you talk to her. You don't think you're speaking to everybody in your area, in Boulder. You think, I'm talking to this one person who has a question about this. And then just being direct to that person, but still being you.
Yep.
My local chiropractor is fantastic. He's been in our community for probably 17 years now. He sees probably 250 a week, 4 days a week. And it's just him. He's just got a great little practice. But he doesn't like doing videos. Like you turn on the camera and his eyes get big, his heart starts racing, and he asked me one day, because I do have the benefit with him being close, I'll go and help him do stuff. Can we wait till after 6? I see my last patient at 6. I will take a shot of tequila. I'll be good. I'll do whatever videos you want me to do. And I understand. But so that's part of it, is getting past that. But if you can think of the value and the money that has been invested in the technology for Facebook, and it's so beautiful because one, we have these platforms that are there and we have the tools. I mean, the camera on your phone right now is so much better than most of the cameras you would buy 10 years ago. It's incredible. It's just never been
And it's in your pocket.
You always have it with them. You got it. And they have theirs with them. And it's not just for younger crowds. It's, Facebook will show us what demographic is responding to the ads. And you would be amazed how many people 65 and older are responding to ads on a mobile device. So there's, your people, you want to fish in the ponds where your fish are, right? So you may not want to do a lot of stuff on Twitter. TikTok maybe one day, but right now, it's when Snapchat first came out, you still had marketers saying, you may get ready, you may be using Snapchat. I don't know, not necessarily for chiropractic, I'm not saying TikTok maybe one day, we don't know yet, but we know Facebook and Instagram, the majority of your demographic, they're on it several times a day. So we just have all these tools. It's like this perfect storm of what we need to build a successful business and compete with any company out there. We have, and you can do it for pennies compared to what it would cost you for any other traditional marketing.
I gotta say this. When I think of making videos, I do a lot of classes and events in my office, and I have for years. I did it before there was social media, right? And I put so much energy to get 20 people in a class in my office, right? And it would take some work. When I do a video on social media, I think I can do this and have thousands of people see it.
Yep.
With a fraction of the cost that it took me in the old days. It's weird to say the old days now. The old days of practice to get them into the room. Now I still do classes and events. However, again, I think like I can make this message that I would spend days of a 40, to prepare for a 45-minute, class, and to get, 20 people there took me all month. I can have 1,000 people do it in so much less time and energy, and just a little bit, just one part of my lecture that would have been a point that I made that was a 3-minute point, right? And then I can break my lecture up into, 8 different videos, right?
Sure.
Some different key points. Now, that being said, one of the things I also see in social media that practitioners do is they go right for getting a consultation, exam, or some promotion. What about using social media for getting people to your events and classes? Because I think classes and events they're the cornerstone of my practice building, because it's building relationships. What about using social media for those things?
Absolutely. But it goes back to the same thing. You're still either going to take your offer for your dinner or your workshop, and it's either going to go to a cold audience or it's going to go to a warmer audience. So really, when you think about marketing, that should be one of the first things that comes to your mind is, okay, am I targeting a cold audience or a warm audience? If you run an ad in the newspaper, the majority of that is going to a cold audience, right? And I'm sure you've done, you've been around a minute. You used to do telemarketing.
Right.
For your practice, right? We talked about this. So you've probably done plenty of newspaper ads. Whenever I used to work in office, we used to do some newspaper ads, but it's still, it's still a cold audience. And not that there's anything wrong with that. You just have to know. It's okay to advertise to a cold audience. But if you've been doing these videos and we have a warm audience, so think about this. You got a workshop coming up and we're going to send out, an offer for the workshop, natural solutions for XYZ, whether it's a dinner, an office, whatever it is. So we have that offer out there. We can target men and women 30 and older that live in a 5-mile radius. It's going to be a colder audience, but that's okay. We can also target the 5 to 10 to 20,000 people that have been watching your videos for the past year that know you, like you, trust you, the same offer. Where do you think you're going to get a better response? Which campaign is going to get you a better result? Right. It's going to be the warm audience. So you can definitely use whatever message you want to get out, whatever event you have coming up in your practice, whatever, use social media for that. And I even say this, people don't read emails like they used to. They don't. So even when you're using Aweber or whatever it is to mail your database, and you still should be doing that. I'm not saying don't, but here's a really good tip. Let's say you have a dinner coming up and you want to email everybody that's on your list. You email everybody on your list, and the subject line in that email you use as a headline on, for a video, and you promote that on Facebook as well. And you try to do it, the same day, around the same time. So they see the email, they may not open it, but then they end up seeing it on Facebook, and you're talking about the same thing, some of the same text in your emails, the same text in your, in your video or in your Facebook post. That can work really well too. But absolutely, whether it's workshops, whether you're doing, some type of patient appreciation, reactivation campaigns, review referral campaigns. We've done stuff like that where you do a campaign and you ask for a review. That takes longer to explain, but there's a lot that you can do. But the more often you're doing videos and building that audience, the better off you're going to be long term. Because then it doesn't matter what it is you want to say, you can get it to a warmer audience, and they're paying more attention to you.
And they're going to be an audience that resonates with who you are as a person. Before I ask you the next question, and we will put information in the podcast that goes along with this, notes. How can people get to know you, connect with you, and find you to learn more about what Chiro Candy does?
You can reach me on Facebook. I would say one of the easiest is the Chiro Candy Facebook page. You can reach us there. You can go to chirocandymarketing.com. We have a video there that it's an overview of our process. There's a lot of success stories and testimonial videos from you and a bunch of other clients on there. So there's, a lot that you can do there. That's probably the easiest. And then even the Chiro Candy podcast. There's a lot of good content we're putting out on that. That's all just marketing. I mean, I'm not a practitioner, I'm a marketer. And so my goal is to help equip you and inspire you to think like a marketer. Because I think we'll all agree, the best chiropractors, they think like a business owner, right? And so I want to help get you in that mindset and give you some tips and tools and stuff that you can use today, tomorrow, to grow your practice. So.
And, I've got to tell you, we're very happy with the changes we've seen in our practice and the information that Billy provides. So I just recommend you plug in more to his resources. And the reason is to connect more people in your community with chiropractic. Now, two last things I want to ask. First one is this. A lot of marketing today, I've seen in many different areas, talk about a tribe and building a tribe. Seth Godin's book, I think I'm pronouncing his name right. How does that fit in with social media, building a tribe?
Well, that goes back to what we were saying. We have what we call our Perfect Patient Tribe Turbine. And I mean, we have been responsible for almost $4 million in ad spend over the past few years. And 99% of that has all been for local chiropractors reaching their communities, right? Healthcare professionals. So we know what works, we know what doesn't. And when you were using this process and you were doing those videos, it allows us to build what we call your tribe. And those are the people who stop what they're doing, watch a little bit of your video. Think about it. If you were ever going to be distracted, it's going to be on the internet. If you can use some of these tips and strategies to create not just videos, but really captivating content that is going to get their attention, hold their attention for a little bit. If you can get them to watch a minute of a video, hey, hats off to you, right? That's what you want to do, because you can build that tribe, people who know who you are, what you do. I shared this at your event. My youngest son was having headaches, went to the chiropractor. I mean, it was just a vast difference. But we did a testimonial video, ran it in our town for a month, and we had 2 different people come up to us. Now, this was several years ago. Well, he was 9 at the time, and he's 13 now, so it's 4 years ago. But we had 2 different people, and we weren't even doing all the retargeting like we do now. But one person at Walmart, one person went to a local restaurant, came up to him and said, "Hey, buddy, how are those headaches?" And after the second one, he's like, "Dad, I think I'm famous." He had people off the street recognize him because we ran a video for a month for our chiropractor. If you were doing this in your community and effectively targeting these audiences, that can be you. You're going to be sitting at the restaurant, and there are going to be people, elbowing their spouse saying, "Hey, that's Dr. Danny. He's the one that's always doing those videos." And you kind of create this celebrity, type persona. I was going to share something. You probably saw me looking at my screen, and I didn't want you to think I wasn't paying attention. I wanted to pull something up. I did a video recently, and then we spent $70, just a small $70. And that's something else. We typically say don't boost post because most people don't have the audiences set up correctly. If you do, and you're targeting the right audiences, it's okay to boost them. But this one, we only spent $70 on it. And like we spent $60,000 last year in ads just for Chiro Candy. So this is a very, very minuscule, budget for a campaign. But we had 484 people watch the complete video. It only cost me 14 cents for each of those people to watch the video. 14 cents think of me standing on stage in front of almost 500 people, holding their attention for that video, delivering that content.
Yep.
Right? That's huge. There was almost 800 people watched over 10 seconds of it.
Right.
So it's things like that we get to do now that are so huge. And here's the thing. As long as we've been doing this, we are seeing cost per leads and Facebook getting more and more and more expensive to run ads on because more and more companies are wanting to use Facebook, and it's supply and demand. They're only going to show an ad every 4 to 5 posts. They're not going to do every other one. So now we have inventory. There's not that many, you're competing with other people now. So your cost is going to go up. So the faster you start building your own audience that know you, like you, trust you, that you get to market to a warmer audience, that's going to be one of the main things that's going to keep your costs down, that's going to help you get the best results for your ad spend.
Thank you, and right on. One more area I want to touch on, which a lot of people are not aware is something that you are do and or work with. What kind of difference or impact does having your own book make for you as a healthcare provider?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. That is actually kind of how we got started. I mean, we were helping people write books. Years ago, I had a program that you can kind of go through yourself on how to do it. And then we started almost like a ghost writing program, where we'll actually sit down and help you do it or do most of the heavy lifting for you. There's a reason, most people haven't even thought of this. Authority, the root word is author, right? Whenever you have a book written, people look at you different. I was talking about, playing guitar at church. I'd gone to church with this guy for years. We were friends, saw each other all the time. He didn't know I'd written a couple of books. And I remember at rehearsal one day, he stops me and he's like, you wrote a couple of books? He started treating me different because I'm an author. It was just different. But people like that. They want to go to somebody who's an authority, and it builds credibility. But think of how you get to use it in your practice. You get to use it as one, further patient education. You get to use it in marketing. And typically, like most of the books we do, cost to have them printed, whether you order 1 or 50, it's normally around $2.50 a book. It's very, very inexpensive to have something that someone's not going to throw away. If you're out at a screening and you had some pamphlets or whatever, a week later, those are going in the trash. But if you had a book, and we're not saying give everybody a book, but no one throws books away. They just don't. They keep them. I mean, I have 4 bookcases here, 2 on this side. You see those 3 there, and we have more in our bedroom. I need to go through here and get rid of some of these books, but people don't. They just keep them. So, you can have a book that sits there on somebody's shelf, and every time they walk past it, they're thinking of you.
Right. Right. And it's something that you can give people at maybe your class or workshop event, or give away as part of your online video thing that you're doing. Grab my book here, or so many other ways.
Yeah.
So,
we used to, here's something, when I worked in office, and I would do a lot of the workshops, whether they're out at different, community events, whatever. And I would look and see, okay, we have 15 people in the audience. I would pull out 5 to 7 books. And at the end, after the talk, I would say, look, if you were going to go to the emergency room, something happened, you have to get x-rays, you've got, how much do you think that's going to run? Whatever. Okay. Well, you're right. Typically so. As a matter of fact, in our office, it's normally, $200 for x-rays or whatever. And then we kind of laid out the offer, but if you're here, we're doing it for $75 or whatever the offer was. But we would say, and actually for the first 5 people that sign, come up and prepay for your appointment, we're actually going to give you a copy of one of the doctor's books. And people would run up there to get a copy of the book. We just used it, just for a little extra incentive. And then we would tell people, hey, whenever you come to the office, we'll get you a book whenever you get there, whatever. But so you can definitely use it in your marketing.
In so many things. So I really want to thank you for taking your time to be on the Mile High podcast, and for also helping chiropractors and chiropractic patients around the world. Definitely check out Chiro Candy. And also, if you enjoy the Mile High podcast, make sure to hit the subscribe button. You don't want to miss it, whether you're watching this on or listening to it on iTunes or Stitcher or YouTube or whatever. Make sure you hit subscribe so you never miss any Mile High Tick. And talking about Mile High Tick, you want to make sure to remember to rise up in August to Mile High Altitude, August 20th to 23rd. Grab your seats and always bring your team. Bring your team to events. If they get just a little bit more fire under their belt, they'll be able to help lift you higher. So have them with you at Mile High, August 20th to 23rd, 2020. You can get all the details at our website, milehighchiroregistration.com. And again, Billy, thank you so much for all you do for chiropractors around the world and chiropractic patients.
Thank you.